Welcome to the Built to Scale podcast. I'm your host, Shmuel Hirschberg, and today we've got an amazing episode for you. I'm joined by James Klein, and we talk about why ROAS is overrated and how AI is reshaping the future of digital marketing. Let's get into it. James has spent 25 years in the nutritional supplement space, building brands, scaling e-commerce companies, and advising top 7-figure and even 8-figure health entrepreneurs. He's an offer owner, brand founder, and digital marketer focused on retention, lifetime value, and sustainable growth. And today we'll be discussing why lifetime value may be the only metric that really matters and why direct response isn't the only path to scale. James, it's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Did I get everything right there in terms of that intro? Was there anything that I forgot?
Considering how old I am and how long my history is, I think that's perfect. We would use up the whole podcast talking about everything I did if we focused on my life's journey.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, I would like to get into some of that origin story. Obviously not, from day one, but perhaps maybe you could just give us a little history of what you've been doing professionally, like in the marketing space, the digital marketing space, direct response.
I've been selling my whole life, almost 45 years or about 45 years of selling, whatever it happens to be, whether we're talking about supplements or in the past, I owned an IT business that did custom software development. So selling for whatever reason comes very naturally to me. And I love it. Talking to people, I love figuring out problems and offering solutions.
Amazing. Yeah. Let's talk about AI for a second. Let's just, take the cat out of the take the cat out of the hat and let's unpack this for a second. But I want to get into it in the sense of like what you've seen in the history over the past 25 years in terms of changes versus the changes that we're seeing now with AI.
Sure. So when I started in business, there was no internet, there was no email. So business was done by telephone or in person. So with the advent of the first personal computers and then eventually internet starting and then email, the way people do business and interact has changed tremendously. The thing that I find very interesting is that the implementation of PCs in the workplace or email or the internet happened at the time, it seemed quickly, but in retrospect, very slowly. Whereas now with AI, it's iterating so quickly that what made sense a month ago, there's already a better solution for it. And that's a little terrifying.
Yeah, totally. So are founders getting things wrong in this game? Are they adapting quick enough?
One of the things that I find is that there are a lot of people who use AI just for the sake of using AI without having a proper use case for it. So use cases to me that make total sense are something like customer service. If you properly implement AI, you can have 50% or more of your customer interactions handled without a human being ever having to be involved. Now, of course, you have to train the AI properly in the beginning, but once you've properly trained it, you can literally double your business and not have to bring on any additional customer service people because the AI is so efficient. So for me, that's a brilliant use case.
And on the other hand,
people using AI to write copy without being able to give the AI proper direction. The saying in the computer business has always been garbage in, garbage out, and the AI will only produce something as good as the inputs that it gets. So people are taking all kinds of shortcuts to try to implement AI without knowing how to properly use it.
Yeah, I believe that people still need to be able to know how to write from a structural standpoint. So that way, when they're actually looking at the copy that AI spits out, that they could understand how to edit it and kind of be basically like an editor for AI. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. You can't just take the output from ChatGPT or Claude and paste it onto a sales page or paste it into an email without reviewing it. The AI is good and it'll probably get you 80% of the way there, but that's where art takes over. Like the science part of it, sure, the AI can generate whatever copy is needed, but the ones who will succeed are the ones who then take that AI output and get it to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you seen any like really amazing stuff just in terms of content generation from AI?
Some of the stuff people are doing with AI video now is absolutely insane. I've been following a couple of people for the last couple of years on LinkedIn. And in the beginning, they had to use 5 different software tools. They would use one tool to generate their base image, and then maybe a second tool to animate it, and a third one to add in voiceover or music. So there was still a lot of interaction as the end product or the phases of the project moved towards the end product. Whereas now the technology has just evolved so quickly that there are now single tools that will do the whole thing for you.
Okay.
So when you see a really good AI video, it's really hard for you to know that it's AI. And that should be the goal.
For sure. And like you said earlier, that things are evolving so quickly. I'm sure we're going to get there sooner than we think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And in terms of your businesses, like, are you seeing in your consulting business, in your ecom business, direct response business, AI producing equally for, every case there's a use case for it? Or are some areas more, let's say, like customer success or content, where content you have to be the editor? Does it span across all industries?
To a great extent, yes. I had somebody reach out to me a few months ago needing my help to bring a supplement to market. And they came to me with a formula. And when they showed the formula, it reminded me of stuff that I had done in maybe 2008 or 2009. And when I said, where did you get this formula? Because it's very outdated and there's much better stuff available. We went to ChatGPT. So I would not use ChatGPT to formulate supplements. It's just not smart enough yet. We'll probably get there, but we're not quite there yet, certainly.
And how did you get into the supplement space to begin with? Do you have a background in that?
Interestingly, I don't. I was in the IT business for about 20 years, and an acquaintance slash friend took an interest in starting a supplement business and needed my help in terms of small investment, but also just helping to run the business. So I put some money in on the condition that I have full visibility to the operations and everything that was going on. And I very quickly took a liking to the space. And it's a very different space today than it was then, certainly. And I had sort of gotten bored with my IT business
Mm-hmm.
and made the decision just about 25 years ago to sell the IT business and focus on supplements full time.
Interesting. And from the IT business to the health and wellness supplement type of business, I'm sure the similarities between like lifetime value and customer acquisition costs, those are in both industries. Am I right?
Yes,
Okay.
for sure. Though when I was selling software, didn't have a website. It was really all done in person, a trade show, word of mouth, etc. So the acquisition costs there were no hard costs in terms of how much advertising I had to spend to acquire a customer. It was much more, what are my travel costs? How many people can I meet with in an event? How many can I close, etc.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So when it comes to the health and wellness, direct response marketing space, like, when did you first realize that lifetime value, LTV, mattered more than front end ROAS, or return on ad spend?
I have always been a relationships person, and I know that I've always known that the money is in a long-term relationship as opposed to something very transactional. So, when I entered direct response, which was about 2020, and I saw companies trying to get customers to buy 12 or 18 bottles of a product on the first day. I had already been in supplements for 20 years, and I said, there's no shortage of ingredients. It's not like anything's not going to be available. Of course, not knowing that COVID was coming.
Supply
But
chains.
right. But that being said, nobody to this day needs a 1 year supply of any supplement in the world. The day that supplement is made, it probably has a 2 year shelf life.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you sell somebody enough that by the time they're using the last bottle, there might be a year left, but there might only be 2 or 3 months left, or they might be past expiration. So that never made sense to me. And seeing how the market has evolved with ever increasing affiliate CPAs and the ridiculously high commissions that they're looking for, it's just made me go totally in the opposite direction.
The opposite direction from a front end sale perspective, or are you saying away from the direct response space?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
I would much rather sell you a bottle of something really good today that you're going to like and then get you to go on subscription and stay my customer for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, essentially as long as you still like the product.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that to me has always been a much better business model. When you look at Shopify businesses or Amazon businesses that are sold, the valuations are based on recurring monthly revenue,
Mm-hmm.
not one-time acquisition. So if all you're doing is churning customers, trying to force a ton of product down their throat on day one, but you never see them again, that business has way less value.
So how would you advise a company in terms of that starting out? How would they scale? Would they have those high advertising costs? They have the high affiliate cost just to mitigate that. Obviously, that day one revenue is critical, but from what you're saying is that it's more important to focus on that lifetime value. So how did that's it's kind of like a tough pill to swallow, no pun intended. So how would you recommend or advise your clients to kind of like balance that act?
It's a very tough pill to swallow for businesses that are built entirely on affiliate revenue because the affiliate wants as much revenue as they can on the day of the transaction, especially if it's a media buying affiliate who could be paying Meta 60, 80, 100, $120 to acquire a customer. Certainly, they want a high affiliate commission in the form of either percentage of revenue or just a fixed cost CPA. But the problem is the CPAs have gotten so high. There are offers out there with 220, 240, $260 CPAs. The only
Mm-hmm.
way that math works is you need an average transaction value of $350 to pay the affiliate, to pay the cost of the product, to pay the fulfillment, to pay your customer service team, etc. Then when you start factoring in higher refunds and chargebacks, because the affiliate marketing tends to be more aggressive to be able to get people to buy 12 or 18 bottles, the economics in the long term to me just don't work.
Yeah.
So I have no problem buying my own traffic, paying Meta 100, 120, even $140 to acquire a customer to maybe get a $60 or $70 sale. But I'm confident based on the quality of my product that I'm going to get to sell them more product in a month and get them to go on subscription. So even if I'm negative for the first 30 days, I should hopefully be break even or above on the first reorder. And then it's mostly profit from there on.
So when
It's
you're
always much cheaper to sell more to an existing customer than to acquire a new customer.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're looking at lifetime value, though, lifetime is a long life. But how do you actually quantify that from a business perspective? Is it 30 days, 90 days, 180 days?
My biggest thing is that know your data. Ideally, an offer owner should know what that customer is worth after 30 days, 60 days, 90, 180, the whole way through that customer journey. But when you have a business, let's say, where you have a customer for 3 or 4 years, so they've placed 35 or 40 orders,
Mm-hmm.
and that's now a customer with $3,500, $4,000 lifetime value. Is that customer more valuable to you and worth more than a customer you paid an affiliate $220 to get who never orders from you again?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a totally different business. It's a branded business rather than just an acquisition business. I believe much more in retention.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. So let's turn to our attention because those customers that stick with you for 4 or 5 years and are making multiple orders per year, those are going to be your customers that are worth thousands of dollars. So you have a blank canvas when it comes to retention. That first, you get the email, you got the purchase, that first purchase. And what's James Klein doing with that person?
In the first month, I'm mostly educating the customer and building a relationship.
Why would that be?
Because if you're strictly transactional and let's say you order something today, if in 10 days or a week from now, I'm already trying to get you to buy more, that's going to turn a lot of people off. But if I'm communicating with you, explaining to you how to use the product, the benefits of using the product, what to expect in week 1 versus week 3 versus week 8, etc., the more information and the more conversational that relationship is, the better the chance you have of keeping the customer.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I'm actually seeing in my YouTube feed. I don't know what my algorithm is exactly or how it works for advertising, but I'm seeing a lot of these ads where they say day one, day five, day 21. And I guess it's kind of like on the acquisition side, they're already planting the seed of what retention is going to look like.
Exactly. Exactly. The more of a relationship you can build with the customer, the better it is.
Hmm.
So instead of just talking at them, talk to them. Send out emails that elicit a response. How are you liking your product? Do you have any questions? The more you can make it conversational that encourages them to hit the reply button, first of all, the better your email deliverability will be because they're actually interacting with your emails. But the customer at that point starts to feel that you really care about them. And
Hmm.
that's very important. The more they feel that you care, and how much you care, of course, is a function of what type of business person you are. Do you really care about your customers? Or are you strictly interested in making money? But
Yeah.
if you really show people that you're interested and you're there to help them and you deliver exceptional customer service, the chances of keeping them are much, much greater.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you feel that having a strong retention engine is the difference between a 7-figure and an 8-figure business?
Yes, but everything is based on the quality of your product. If you have a terrible product, retention is going to be very hard. So I always focus on product first.
Okay.
What's the problem that my product is trying to solve? And how can I make the best product I possibly can that still makes sense economically? Because
Okay.
I can build a phenomenal product, but if it costs me $30 a bottle and I have to sell it for $120 a bottle, that opens me to a very limited market. Whereas if I build a really solid 8, 10, $12 product that I can sell for 49.99, 59.99, somewhere in that ballpark, I'm confident that the customer will be getting good results and therefore want to continue. If I'm building a $3 product, the chance of keeping the customer is very low.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so there is a lot of markup, which I guess that kind of like allows them to pay the high affiliate fees, affiliate payouts, and the meta fees for advertising.
Yes, and also allows them to mitigate 10, 12, 15% refunds, 2 or 3% chargebacks, etc.
Okay.
I'm in the business of selling product, not taking product back because the customer gets a shipment with 18 bottles and says, "Oh my God, what did I do?" And they want to send it back.
Hmm.
So it's a very different business. You can run offers or you can build a brand. A brand is a longer play, it's a more expensive play, but a brand is built around customer retention. And I'll always use the example of Air Jordans. People who like Air Jordans will always buy more Air Jordans. There's a new release coming. They like the color, they like the style. Those are the ones who are going to line up outside the store 6 hours before the shoes go on sale because they want to get them on the first day.
Hmm.
Their relationship, they feel part of the Air Jordan family
Absolutely. And they're still buying Air Jordans even though he's retired
for 30
from basketball.
years.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Or
Yeah.
28 years since he, well,
Something
actually,
like
no,
that.
when you factor in the other teams, still 25 years since he retired.
Well, he
So
retired, then he came back,
came
then he
back.
retired.
Exactly. But, all that to say, they built such a phenomenal brand that the loyalty is still there all these years later. Most of the kids buying Air Jordans now never saw him touch a basketball.
Yeah. There was a recent story circulating on social media about him actually taking a free throw for the first time in years. Not only has he retired, decades ago, he hasn't actually touched a ball in many years.
I saw the video and the talent and the muscle memory is still there for sure.
That yeah, definitely that muscle memory is there, and I think that's probably also just in terms of marketing and being able to adapt to a lot of different changes that we're seeing in the market, whether it's direct response versus e-com, whether it's obviously we spoke about AI coming into play. That muscle memory in terms of marketing and being resilient and understanding how to adapt is going to be key for anyone. What do you think about direct response in general? Is it dying?
There will always be some market for aggressive direct response offers, but it's changing. And There were a lot of companies that had tremendous success during COVID. People were home. People had time to watch 45-minute videos that didn't even reveal the product until you were 38 minutes in. And they liked watching the stories and the whole rationale behind the product. The miracle ingredient from the Amazon or the Andes or wherever this miracle ingredient was from that was going to fix whatever problem the person was looking to fix. That being said, people have less time now. People, if your video doesn't captivate them in the first 4 or 5 seconds, they move on. If you look at behavior of people on TikTok or Instagram, their thumbs are constantly scrolling.
Yeah. Do you think we
Okay,
were always like that, or did Meta and Instagram, TikTok make us like that?
I would say the latter. People have zero attention span right now. They need the immediate dopamine rush, the instant gratification. You start watching a video, not interested, and you move on until you find one, whether it's a stupid cat video or whatever it is. Whatever gives you that dopamine hit is what captivates. So I think the days of 45-minute video sales letters will be coming to an end, which I'm totally fine with. If you have a good product, it should not take you 45 minutes to make a sale.
Mm-hmm.
If I can't sell you something that I believe in 3 to 5 minutes, then there's something wrong with the messaging, or I'm just selling a product that nobody has a need for.
And I imagine it's also the actual product that you're selling, because some products, obviously, you need a lot of time to buy. Let's say buying a car, for example. Most people don't just go in and just buy a car, but a lot of the stuff that we see in our Facebook feeds and stuff, in the direct response space, these are things that you do not need to make a long decision about. Is that what you're
Exactly. Exactly. Like you look at TikTok Shop, that's impulse buys for sure.
saying? Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
you're watching a video of the Olympics, you scroll on to the next one, and it's this captivating product, and they get you, and you double click and you buy it, and then you move on to the next Olympic video or whatever other silly video you happen to be watching. So in-feed shopping will become bigger and bigger as we move forward. Agentic commerce with AI recommending what products you should buy and being able to do that whole thing on platform will become absolutely massive. It's starting to get quite big and will only increase for sure. Shopify has just announced some amazing agentic search where even if you don't have a Shopify store, it'll still recommend a product if that's what matches the criteria that you asked the AI to recommend. So I think our shopping experiences will change drastically over the next 12, 24, 36 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in terms of direct response, I don't want to, I guess we could call them brands, but they're not really brands.
Their offers.
They're offers. And in order to adapt, they're going to have to change into a more e-com style, or just shrink their VSL down to like 10 minutes or maybe less.
What I think will happen, and right now there's a massive prevalence of deep fakes in the VSLs, as well as the ads that are getting people to click to go buy a product. That's going to get worse before it gets better, but I think it's likely to have to go away at some point. The platforms, I think, are going to get a ton of pushback. You showed me an ad of Oprah recommending a product, except Oprah never recommended that product. The people who are being knocked off with AI clones are going to start suing Meta and Google and everywhere else these ads appear, and the platforms are going to have to clamp down.
Mm-hmm.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, and with AI getting better, it's almost like they're two polar sides going at it. You have the AI that's getting better, which is going to make things harder for people to spot and detect deep fakes. But then again, you're going to have other side of things where the lawsuits, the litigation, where people are going to come out. So it's going to be an interesting time.
Very much so. Right now, the people who are being super aggressive are making a lot of money. And in any industry, there's always somebody who's prepared to go up to the line or even cross the line. A lot of them end up paying the price, but they're monetizing like crazy until that happens. Good luck to them. That's not the kind of business I want to run or be associated with. I've worked very hard for 40 years to accomplish what I've accomplished, and I'm not prepared to ruin it by committing fraud and tricking customers into buying a product.
Definitely. Definitely we don't, there's that talk about you want to be edgy with your marketing. You want to get to that red line, but that's a line you don't want to cross. The red line's there because to demarcate where we don't cross over to. So
Exactly. And quite often I will ask people who are new to the industry and come out with something aggressive. I always ask them two questions. Number one, would you let your mother or grandmother take the product that you're selling?
mhm,
And then number two, how would you feel if your mother or grandmother saw how you sell your product?
yeah,
If
for
you're
sure.
okay with all of it, then keep doing what you're doing. But
Mhm,
if it gives you a little bit of that icky feeling because it's just clean, it's not clean, there's a dirtiness to it and you don't want to be associated with it, so then don't do better. There's lots of ways to make money selling supplements. You don't have to cross the line and trick people into buying something.
yeah. So I'll give a shout out to my mom if she's listening. I'm not crossing that red line, and I'm doing something that I hope that she could be proud of me for.
Exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about sustainable growth. So in this busy marketplace, a lot of things are shifting very quickly in all directions. What does a clean offer look like nowadays?
Well, if we're talking specifically supplements, it will be a product that uses proper dosages of the ingredients that are in it. So, for example, if all the studies say that you need at least 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C for vitamin C to be effective, don't put 100 milligrams of vitamin C in your product. And that's the same for every single ingredient that you're using. So, I personally use the best quality manufacturers I can with patented and trademarked ingredients where it makes sense. So you pay a premium to use those ingredients, but then you have access to all of their studies and the science behind it and can actually reference the science when you're talking about your product. So, number one, start with a good product. If you don't have a good product, you're never going to build anything sustainable. You can have a great 6 to 12 month run and sell a lot of product, but 2 years from now, nobody's going to remember that product existed because your aggressive offer ran out of steam and had to be replaced.
Mhm.
So it's like building a house. You need a strong foundation, and the foundation is having a quality product.
Yeah. Yeah. I always talk about how when it comes to building, I love that analogy with the house. You have your engineer, you have your architect, and then you have your interior designer. And it would be very foolish to say, I'm thinking about building a house. Let me just go to the interior designer and let her start designing, or let him start designing, when it's like you don't even have a plot of land.
Exactly. Exactly. So always start with a solid foundation and then define very, very cleanly and properly who your target market is. And then build advertising campaigns around who your target market is. So, if you look on TikTok, there are products that are destined to a 50-year-old customer. But if you look at some of these companies' TikTok feeds, all their spokespeople are in their 20s. Now, if I'm 50 plus and I need a certain product, do I care what a pretty 22-year-old girl has to say about the product? No, because the problems are different. So know your audience, make sure that your advertising matches your audience, be ethnically diverse when you're using spokespeople. Not everybody is a white woman from the Midwest of the US. So, like an underserved market is the Hispanic speaking market in the US. And on TikTok, there's massive communities of creators who all they do is promote products in Spanish. But
Hmm.
there are many big brands that are totally sleeping on that and not taking advantage of that market.
That's an excellent point in terms of just diversification, geo targeting. It's not just a matter of saying like, "Oh, I'm in the U.S. We're going to target in English only," but you can actually go after a large Spanish-speaking market within the U.S.
Yes, and generally, based on the data that I see, Spanish speakers tend to spend more money than English speakers.
Hmm. Yeah,
So, it's a great market that a lot of people don't serve properly at all.
I would even venture to say that it's untapped to a certain degree in the direct
Yes,
response space.
very much so.
And then from the retention side, how far down do you need to actually build out your plan when you're building those, when you're just designing your product and figuring out who your ideal client is?
You should have a proper plan for the first 90 to 180 days. That being said, the data will tell you whether or not your plan is correct. People will say, well, give me 1, 2, 3 year projections of what this brand is going to do. And honestly, I can't. Like, I can make up numbers, but until I actually see how the market reacts to the product and what pivots need to be made in the marketing message, it could be very difficult. I might have a certain vision in mind that this is the path I'm going down. But if the data tells me I have to go in a totally different direction, then all the time I spent building this long-term plan is wasted because the data tells me where I need to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and I'd love it if you could just unpack that whole bit about how much time that you would give or invest in a product. I guess it varies, but there probably are some hard and fast rules, maybe some key statistics beyond lifetime value and ROAS that someone should be looking at for to kind of just understand. All right, this is when we pull the plug.
Sure. First of all, have a proper budget of what you're prepared to lose. And what I mean is, if you're building a new product, you need to know what it's going to cost you to make the first X number of units of your product, what your advertising budget is, and you have to assume that all that money is going to be gone. So you work from worst case scenario, and then hopefully worst case scenario never happens. But I see people going into the supplement business as a passion project, and I talk people out of that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard business. There's a lot of work involved. Don't do it because it's a passion. Do it because the business makes sense. Wanting to help people is great, but you need to understand the economics of and what it's going to cost you to really build momentum. If you don't have a pre-built audience and you're just John Smith who's launching a new supplement, there's a lot of lift involved on the marketing side before you get any real traction. So you
Mm-hmm.
could spend 150, $200,000 on marketing before you start seeing really scalable results. So,
Yeah.
supplement business always takes longer and is more expensive than people expect it to be.
Yeah, like a lot of things in life, it takes longer, it's harder than people imagine that it will be.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think I see that a lot, especially with business owners after they put in their work and they put in their investment. Before they could reap the fruits, they're starting to panic. They don't realize that it takes a while for the fruit to grow on the tree.
Yeah, it's definitely a marathon and not a sprint.
Let's talk about like where you think the market's actually going to be going in the next 2 years, like in terms of direct response versus e-com. Do you see a hybrid play here, or do you see maybe direct response going away altogether?
I don't know that direct response will ever totally go away. E-com is absolutely the future. You look at Shopify, who it's very much an e-com platform. They're the number two processor of e-commerce transactions in the United States following Amazon. So Shopify does 12 or 13% of all e-com transactions in the US based on their most recent quarterly reports.
Okay.
That grows every quarter, that's growing. Shopify is taking a bigger and bigger piece of that pie. People like the shopping cart, they like the shopping experience. So there's room for hybrid for sure. But I'm a massive ecom fan, and I'm a big believer in ecom and have been proselytizing about the benefits of ecom for years. I'm doing a lot of hybrid pages, very short form though. I will never put out another 10,000 word sales letter again.
And
There's no need for it. There's just
yeah,
no need whatsoever.
yeah, and there you have it in terms of that. So James Klein is not coming out with another 10,000 uh, TSL again. You
Or a
heard it here.
45-minute VSL. There's not a chance.
Okay, awesome. And what about like in terms of the metrics? So let's say someone is listening to this and they're saying, "Oh man, I was in the direct response space for so long." Let's say I don't want to say I had my head in the sand or I didn't see this coming, and now I need to make a shift. Is it a matter of just shopifying your website and becoming more of let's say a brand? or is it you have to change like some of the metrics that you're looking at?
You have to change a lot because generally somebody who's been very successful in direct response doesn't have a brand. They have a bunch of different offers, but there's nothing that tie all those offers together under one roof. So what I tell people who are in, and I'm lucky to work with some great people, and people ask me for advice all the time into how to make the pivot. And my biggest recommendation is to take the money they're making in direct response and set some of it aside to launch an e-commerce brand and an e-commerce business, because it's a very different business than what they're used to. You can't just take a high selling direct response product, throw it on a Shopify site and expect it to scale. It won't.
Yeah. And in terms of metrics, are they the same metrics? Like, are we talking about, let's say, click-through rates, conversion rates? Is there anything that isn't transferable or more important when it comes to e-commerce?
The metrics will be different in that generally the direct response advertising tends to be more aggressive. So it'll probably get higher click-throughs, but is it really getting a high intent buyer?
Okay.
I could throw lots of money at Meta and get lots of people clicking on an ad. But if I'm promoting it to the wrong people who are never going to buy the product, all I'm doing is spending money. So it's a very different approach. You have to test a ton of creatives. You really have to know all your numbers. And what I find direct response people do, but even some e-commerce people, they'll look at each of the channels they're advertising on separately. So I spend 100,000 a month on Meta, 50,000 on Google, 50,000 on TikTok, 50,000 on Amazon. And they say, well, I need to be at a 1.2 ROAS across all the channels.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't work because Facebook and TikTok are top of funnel. So you're presenting a product to somebody who is not even necessarily interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
So the average person will see a Facebook ad 7 to 10 times before they click or show any buying intent. But what happens once you get them with your Facebook ad for a consumable product or a physical product in general, they're going to do one of two things. They're going to go do a Google search, which will probably lead them to a Shopify site, or they're going to go look and see if it's on Amazon. So let's say you saw my Facebook ad, you loved it, you want to buy the product, and you see it's on Amazon. Great. I don't have to get up. I don't have to enter my credit card number. They know my address. They have all my information. I'll have it tomorrow. So they click and buy on Amazon. Facebook gets no attribution for that sale whatsoever.
Yep.
But Facebook did all the heavy lifting. Same thing if they spent a lot of time, they see the Facebook ad multiple times, they go to Google, go to Shopify. So let's say they go to Google, end up on Shopify and make the purchase there. Now, according to Shopify on its own, Google gets credit for the sale. But again, Facebook did the heavy lifting. So the advantage when you're on Shopify is that you can use attribution tools like Triple Whale or Northbeam that will show you the customer viewed a bunch of Facebook ads. They clicked from Facebook. Then they went to Google and eventually did the purchase. Maybe they made the purchase from an email because at some point they gave you an email address when they visited your Shopify site. So of course the email platform wants to take credit for the sale. Google wants to take credit for the sale and Facebook wants to take credit for the sale. So over attribution is a big problem, but I tell people look at it blended.
Okay.
Your
So
Facebook might only be at 0.8, but your Google could be a 6 or an 8 or a 10 ROAS. Amazon pay-per-click, same thing. Most businesses that do well on Amazon, pay-per-click represents 20, 25% of their total sales. The rest of it's organic. Somebody just goes into Amazon, types in the name of the product and buys it that way, or saw a link somewhere. So I like to look at everything holistically. We spent $500,000. We acquired $1 million worth of new customers. Therefore, we have a 2x ROAS across the month for everybody. That's a
yeah,
much healthier way to look at it.
definitely. And then I guess you would have to kind of just zoom out and just see all the different channels and then just try to improve on it. So from what I'm hearing is that you wouldn't advocate, let's say, turning off your Meta if it was significantly underperforming there. You would try to kind of just dial that in a little bit, or would you just kind of just chalk it up and say this is the top of the funnel and it's helping?
Absolutely top of the funnel and it's helping. The same thing with TikTok. You can
Okay.
advertise on TikTok Shop and on TikTok And there's a certain percentage of the buyers who will buy directly on TikTok, but there's a bigger percentage of buyers who will go search on Amazon or Google. So top of funnel is much more about education than closing the sale.
Yeah. And when you're seeing all those impressions and clicks, but not buyers from the top of funnel, you have to be mature enough to realize that that's doing something in the funnel, because people aren't just coming to Amazon and finding your product like that.
Unless you're in the top 3 to 5 products in your specific listing category. So if you search for magnesium products, if you're in the top 5, yes, you'll get sales that way. But if you're on page 2 or page 3 or page 10, nobody ever sees your listing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like going back to the days of Google search when, SEO ranking was so important and you had to be on that first page within the first impressions, because if you're not there, don't have that illusion that people are just finding you.
Exactly.
It is that top of funnel stuff that it's really helping you.
Very much so.
Yeah, that's an excellent insight. Yeah. Thank you. I mean, we've been talking for a while now, and this has been really, really insightful for me. Like I've learned a lot from you, not just today, but in all of our discussions. And I'm sure people out there who are listening are going to be gaining so much knowledge from you.
I certainly hope so.
How can people find you or get in touch with you?
The best place is probably LinkedIn. I'm not super active there, but I get a decent amount of outreach through LinkedIn and I get the notifications that way. So, I'm always happy to talk to people. I'm passionate about this stuff. I like talking about this stuff. So, happy to help and share whatever insight I possibly can.
Amazing. Well, James Klein, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me on the Built to Scale podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Built to Scale podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a conversation about what it really takes to build and scale in today's market. For more information about Built to Scale and how we help companies grow, visit builttoscale.co. If you have suggestions for future guests or topics, send us a note at podcast@builttoscale.co. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, this is your host, Shmuel Hirschberg. And remember to keep building, keep testing, and keep scaling.